A goddess is everywhere in the ancient world, and they always represent understanding, wisdom, and enlightenment. And yet each stela and each painting hides a glorious clue. This Egyptian carving is one of the most well-known works in the world, and this humble creation is called the Bee Goddess. Our archaeologists and our historians tell us that there was an obsession and a love for insects in the ancient world. They recite this understanding in every college and in every university, and even more, in every scholarly lecture. They tell the world the story of Egypt, a story of insect worship. Bugs, spiders, dung beetles, ants, and bees. How can this be an enlightened nation if they were fascinated with insects? The answer is, they weren't. They never worshiped bugs, and they never glorified insects. And our stories about their history only glorifies our own ignorance. Although insects are seen all over the land of Egypt, you will find in the end, they aren't. It is a delusion, a fantasy, a misrepresentation of truth and wisdom, and not on their part, but on ours. We look at our ancient forefathers with arrogant eyes, for we really think we are better than they, and we are not. Ancient Egypt was not a male-dominated culture as many believe, and the veneration of the female is found all over the land. The female was a teacher, a queen, and a goddess. This is one of the most well-known articles of religion in Egypt. It is a depiction of a woman of worship, and it is also what many would call the worship of an insect. She has the body of a woman with the posterior of a bee. And all of this was the reason why the female was called the Bee Goddess. Her wings are short, and her breasts are supple, and beneath her is the sweet nectar of flowers in bloom. Nonetheless, remember, in ancient Egypt, all is not what it seems, and thus the eye of the enlightened always sees something else. Look at the petals on these flowers, and now look at this goddess. A woman and an insect combined to do what? To give us a clue. Each writing of an insect is not to show the worship of it, but instead, it is to highlight its attributes. Something unique about that particular insect has a God characteristic, and that characteristic, when revealed, reveals the God. With the depiction of any insect, it can be its eyes, its legs, or its sound. Look again, and now open your mind. These are not flowers at all. And this woman is not a bee. No, she is not a bee, but she sounds exactly like one. And her sound alone unlocks this 10,000-year-old mystery. Listen, this is the actual sound of a bee. And although we believe these petals to be two flowers, they are not. Listen, and now look at these flowers. Stand still and see the revealing of the Bee Goddess. Yes, this goddess is actually flight. And that which we once believed were two flowers are actually propellers, and the sound of the engine is the sound of the bee. and the two are nearly identical. It is glory, and it is power. And in the ancient world, she who has the ability to fly is more than a woman. She is a god. The power of flight in the ancient world was the difference between being a mere mortal and being a deity. It is a powerful display of expertise, knowledge, and wisdom, and yet it is all for naught if we choose to disbelieve them. All of this is proof that we have done this before. We have all been here before. And we all died.
Well, the stock is bubbling in the pot. Just away, go, baby.
Is everywhere in the ancient world, and our ability to understand it and to accept it will determine if we will survive. A great and powerful warning is given to us, and it has been staring us in the face for nearly 2,000 years. Figures, lines, and mysteries. And no one on this planet knows what they mean or why they were created. And the reason no one knows is because we look upon every ancient creation as inferior to our own misguided standard of intellect. And yet, as intelligent as we claim to be, and as superior as we believe we are, not one of us has unlocked its knowledge. Nevertheless, these ancient, dusted, and derided lines holds the answers to the greatest secrets of all time. It is a revealing of wisdom that is so powerful that it will transform our entire world. And yet, we cannot understand them until we can accept the fact that they were greater than us. And there is no place on earth that displays this reality more than Tiwanaku, Bolivia. It is a creation that has had men scratching their heads for more than 2,000 years. It is quizzical and perplexing, and yet its understanding and its answer is patently obvious to one who is willing to accept the impossible. To understand this figure, one must do something that is counterintuitive to intelligence, and that is to ignore it. Don't look upon this ragged figure or its infantile artwork, and instead look at what is beneath it, because what is beneath it holds all the knowledge. What is beneath it is a door, a doorway. And a doorway is an entryway that will ultimately lead you somewhere else. It may seem to be a relic of a bygone era, and it may also appear to be incomplete and lacking in structure and knowledge. To the contrary, it is vibrant, brilliant, and bustling with undiscovered awareness, shouting, crying, and begging for one of us to look closer. The doorway is the key, and what makes it a key is the fact that it unlocks hidden and ancient mysteries all over the world. A doorway is always found in holy places, and it is created in every record and every holy carving depicting the afterlife. And yet, what is the most astounding part of this doorway is the fact that it was found in Nazca, Peru. Not only are there lines here, there is also a door, a doorway. It is a mountainous doorway, and it also has the graven image that shows a strange alien who appears to be greeting our new world. A doorway as plain and as common as it may be is ubiquitous in holy carvings. Whether Sumerian, Babylonian, Egyptian, it's everywhere. And although Sumeria was the oldest ancient civilization on earth, astoundingly, when this doorway is found in their ancient culture, it is called a gateway. The doorway was found to be a mystical symbol and a representation of the heavens and the netherworld. And yet what confirms the purpose of this doorway is found in its quiet, ancient, and unassuming name. And the name is Tiwanaku. And this name means the gate of the sun. This stone structure is created to represent the sun, and its symbolism and its intricate artwork are created for one purpose. It is created for us. It has been a mystery for more than 2,000 years, and again, it is only a mystery because we refuse knowledge, and we refuse to listen. This image of a ragged and broken king has a Mayan face and an Egyptian flair. And both of these things mean, look closer. He has the face of the sun and the body of a man, and his artwork represents the glowing face of the sun. In his hands are the staff of his authority, as they are two serpents, which represent authority and power. Look at this enhanced version of this stela, and you will see something staggering. And that is, these aren't serpents in his hands. These are actually birds. This sun god is holding two birds as his staff of power. And this meaning couldn't be clearer. The sun has a doorway, and this creation is called the gate of the sun. And to enter into it requires that which the birds of the air find to be common: flight. Flight is the key. It represents knowledge, information, and understanding. And accepting the fact that the ancients could fly is critical to whether we do. This king is both son and God, and yet he holds these two birds with the hands of a man. This means that this knowledge of this God is made for man. It is telling us that mankind must harness the power of flight in order to reach this doorway, this sun gate. The reason this stela has remained a mystery for 2,000 years is because we were too young to understand it. All pyramids, hieroglyphs, and stelas are created to be understood only when we reach the technological age. Why? Because it is only in the technological age where we have the power to leave the earth, and also the power to change our fate. The ancient prophecy given to modern man states that we won't be able to reach the sun gate without the power of flight. Although basic and rudimentary mechanics can get us in the air, it's not enough to reach the sun. In short, they are telling us we need more power, and lots of it. Unbelievably, what will give power to our fledgling wings is found within this stela, a message, a code that we will only understand when we achieve technology, because technology gives us more power. CPU processing power. The mechanical age was never enough to help us. We needed technology. The more power we can push into a small space means more capability, high-capacity power in a small engine. It is the intelligent design of spaceflight. The power of the sun regulated by a small, diminutive sun chip. This connection could not be more obvious. Computer technology, nanotechnology, and quantum technology. It is the age that they have been waiting for. We are no longer children, and we now have matured. We now have the ability to reach the unreachable, and that is the house of our Creator. It is a powerful transformation of flesh and spirit, for these new abilities will change who we are and change our purpose. This new technology gives us the power and the ability to fly, and not just to fly around the earth, but also interstellar space. The sun is the litmus test for man, and our ability to reach it is the test of our faith. For when we do, we will become something different than what we are. Reaching it will create a complete transformation, and we will no longer be human anymore. In the ancient world, the sun is always represented as a pyramid, and as common as these structures may be, they contain a blessing and a curse, celebration and fear, and the reason is here. This is the Aztec Pyramid of the Sun, and it is called Teotihuacan. And this strange name represents the sun, and it also represents our new terrifying human ability. Teotihuacan is ancient, and yet it tells us something that our forefathers did before us. Because this name actually means the place where man became God.
I need your help, and here's why.
This level of accomplishment signals the end of our world, as it has for the last 100 million years. And for 100 million years, we have been hearing the voices of our ancestors, hearing the voices of the heavens. A cave painting warning us, a stela, and desert lines, all warning us of something that is to come. If this story appears to be a bit too familiar, it is. The knowledge of the Stargate is found in nearly every ancient civilization in the world. It is a story that is repeated over and over again. And yet, what is so sad about this story is that every nation that comes to the understanding of this knowledge, and every nation that reaches into the gate of the sun, are never heard from ever again. Their nation and the world is completely destroyed. The knowledge of the Stargate is always the last knowledge ever given on Earth. And after that, mankind is destroyed. Human beings are made to be wise and created to give ear to learning and achievement. And yet, if we refuse knowledge and if we refuse learning, then we are all wiped away. The Stargate is our last word, and it is also our last warning. The Earth is coming to an end, and if we do not listen, then what will we build? to warn the next humans that come after us. And the most disturbing knowledge of all, children of Earth, we may be the last. Every cave, every pyramid, and every obelisk tells us of the Stargate, a gateway to what would otherwise be impossible, and that is a gateway to interstellar travel, a gift which allows us to leave our Earth and our solar system and venture out into the body of the universe, a new key which unlocks a dream that is now a reality, and each of us can enter, and each of us can return. However, when we return, we will no longer be seen as human beings, but instead as celestial beings. We will sing a song that we have never sung and dream a dream that is not, because it is a dream come true. And the greater beauty of this knowledge is the fact that we will all live. We will no longer be called human beings, and instead, unto the new children of this earth, when they see us, they will call us the Star People. Although we believe it is a journey that is made for science, a journey made for those with privilege, it's not. The people of the earth will ask, who gets to go through this gate in the sun? Who gets to live? The rich and the powerful? What will happen to the rest of us? Are we to be left here on a dying earth? Are we to die? What will happen to us? The answer to this question is a solemn one. And the answer is, we can all go. We can all walk through this gate. We can all walk into the cosmos. We can all walk into the kingdom of our God. We can enter the heavens. We can drink with angels. Every one of us can walk into this new world. We can all experience this. Because although the ancients show us a stargate in the sun, they've also shown us something else. There's another one. And this one is right here on Earth.